What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about AMC, GME, as well as the overall broader market. And after that, we're going to check the options flow for all three of them. So today, AMC was up for 0.69% for the day. It had a high of $15.29. The average volume on AMC is around 42.03 million, but today's volume was around 24.56 million. Now, there is some life that is coming into the volume of AMC right now. Now let's come over to the GameStop. Now GameStop was up for 0.18% for the day. It had a high of $34.43. The average volume on GameStop is around 13.87 million, but today's volume was around 3.20 million. So there is a sign a little bit in the GameStop as well. There is a life that is coming back in the volume as well. I personally believe if this pie will keep going up for another few days or weeks, AMC and GME will have some sort of aggressive momentum coming to the upside. Now let's come over to the SPY. Now SPY was up for 1.25% for the day. It had a high of $406.80. Now, as we know already, we should be officially in recession from today onwards. What is the definition of recession is when we have first two quarters in negative GDP, then it's an official recession. But what White House has done recently, they're trying to change the definition of a recession by saying the first two quarter is negative. We are still not in a recession. Now GDP was expected to be plus 0.4 for this quarter, but it came in minus 0.9 for this quarter, which is officially should be an recession, but they are not accepting it. They are in a denial state. Now this kind of a news should have crashed the market, but what we are seeing is completely opposite. We are going towards the upside, and even by looking at the options flow, it seems to be like the overall broader market will keep going up from here onwards. Now, as we can see over here in the article as well, Janet Yellen says the economy is not in a recession despite the GDP slump. That we are not in a recession, but the kind of numbers that we had today, the GDP fell 0.09% in the second quarter, the second straight decline, and a strong recession signal. I mean, it's just bizarre that the way these people are running the government, they just don't want to accept it that we are in a recession, and this is a pretty clear cut sign that we are in a recession and they should declare it officially, which will impact the stock market. But somehow they are not accepting it and they are letting the market go up. But it seems to be like this is not gonna end well for anybody, neither for the real estate, neither for the Bitcoin, neither for the stock market. We can just enjoy the ride for the meanwhile, whatever we can do in order to make some money. But this is not gonna end well, that's for sure. Because they have been saying about inflation as well that it was transitory, that it will just come and go. But now we can see the inflation has gone rooftop all around the world. And now they're talking about recession as well, that this is not a recession, that the second quarter is negative as well. Still, it's not a recession. This is a very big red flag, and I can tell you for sure that things are gonna get really bad very soon. Now let's come over to the options flow for the AMC. Now increase the premium to max and see what exactly the whales are doing. Now majority of the whales were on to the downside, and they are betting quite a bit of money towards the downside. This one bet, that $30 put option, is gonna expire in 49 days. This individual is buying 2,000 contract, and he's paying $3.13 million for it, and he's betting that the AMC will keep going down from here onwards. Now what I personally think is if the overall broader market is going to go up from here onwards, we will definitely see some sort of a upward momentum coming into AMC as well as GME from here onwards. Now when I bring down the premium a little bit and see what exactly the mini whales are doing, now majority of them are onto the downside, and they're buying this $125 and $135 put option. That's a slight bit suspicious, and they are a little bit scared as well that it might go up to those price levels. There is some sort of aggressive volume or some momentum coming into AMC, but majority of them are onto the downside. The rest, there was nothing majorly suspicious coming out of the options flow for the AMC. Now let's come over to the options flow for the GameStop. Now increase the premium to max and see what exactly the whales are doing. Now this one whale was onto the downside. Now this individual is buying 80 contracts, $38.75 put option. This can expire in 175 days, and he's paying $160,000 for it, which is not at all suspicious. Now when I bring down the premium a little bit and see what exactly the mini whales and the retail are doing, now majority of them are again onto the downside, and they are all betting towards the downside for the GameStop. Now GameStop is extremely volatile. Now if there is some sort of aggressive volume that comes into GameStop, which I can see a slight bit increase in the volume, that's how it all gets started. Slowly the volume is going to rise up, and then one day aggressive momentum is going to come into GameStop, and it can take the price to unimaginable numbers. But the rest, there was nothing majorly suspicious coming out of the options flow for the GameStop. Now let's come over to the options flow for the SPY. Now I've increased the premium to max and see what exactly the whales are doing. Now this one whale was buying $375 call option. That's basically deep in the money call option, and he's buying 3,498 contract, and he's paying $11.4 million for it, and he's giving 21 days time to let this pie go up from here onwards. Now when I bring down the premium a little bit and see what exactly the mini whales were doing, majority of the whales are surprisingly onto the upside, and they are all betting towards the upside for this pie. Now even after getting the baddest and the worst news in the economy, that we are actually in a recession, still a lot of individuals are playing for the upside for this pie, and I personally believe we're going to go up for a little while, until unless we find some major gaps coming in the chart of the SPY. Then I can assume that we might experience some sort of a severe downtrend from there onwards, because there is no good news out there. We have extremely high inflation, the war is still on, we still have COVID, we got another problem of monkeypox, and it's a total catastrophe for the overall broader market. Now we can see over here in the put to call ratio, 53.8% is the call side, 46.2% is only the put side. The volume was slight bit higher on the put side, but the premiums are pretty good onto the call side. Now by looking at the options flow, there was nothing majorly suspicious coming out of it, but there were these $405 call option that's going to expire in 3 days. This individual is paying $6.16 million for it. This is basically in the money, and he's buying 17,842 contract, and he's betting that the SPY is going to go up from here onwards. Now I personally believe we might experience some sort of a 2 to 3% of a day tomorrow, just because we have the earnings of Apple and Amazon, which seems to be like doing very well in the aftermarket. So we might have some sort of a upper momentum coming into the overall broader market from tomorrow onwards. But there are still a lot of major gaps to the downside in this SPY. We just have to wait and see how this is going to play out, but it doesn't seems to be like coming in the favor of retail anytime soon. Now let's come over to the chart of the VIX. Now by looking at the chart of the VIX, it seems to be like it's pretty much getting ready for a extreme upward momentum, but right now it doesn't seem to be like in the favor of the upside, is basically going down a little bit further, and I personally think we're going to go down a slight bit more further onto the wicks, and then we might experience some sort of aggressive momentum coming to the upside. Now there are a lot of individuals, those who are buying call options on wicks. Some of them are buying $75 call option. The current price is 22.32, but they expect that the VIX might have some sort of aggressive volatility coming into it. Now, I personally think that we are going to go up from here onwards a slight bit more further. So VIX might go down a slight bit more further towards 20 or maybe 18. We might have some sort of a rally coming for the whole August, just because now the Fed is not going to increase the interest rate for another 8 weeks. So we have almost 2 months time before Fed make any more further decision towards the interest rate hike. So now I personally believe this is going to be a slight bit of bottom, that we might experience some sort of upward momentum coming into the SPY overall broader market. So thanks for watching my video. Please like and subscribe my channel, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Cheers.